enemy types, an all-new combat system, and an immersive new setting. This footage is from a work-in-progress version, but you can see it's everything you could ever want from a Viking game. Valhalla has longships, dual-wielding axes, massive beards, worthy enemies, castles, battering rams, sieges, braided beards, grog, songs, ancient trees, and beards. Every game in the series has expanded upon the last, and Valhalla, for its part, adds new depth to the franchise. It's the most combat-oriented game yet in the series. The new system is extremely customizable, allowing you to decide your Viking fighting style through unique weapons and skills. Each fight feels different and challenging because of the multitude of different enemy types throughout the Dark Age landscape. In Valhalla, you play as Eivor, a badass who was brought up in the harsh and unforgiving Viking culture, which promised a life of battle, struggle, and God's willing a violent death so you could drink with your ancestors in the halls of the afterlife. The game's story is set in 9th century England, and even though it is fictional, it immerses you in the authentic history and brutality of the times. The Dark Ages in England featured Christian versus Norse religious conflict, disease, starvation, and a bunch of other problems that stem from not being able to call the fire department. The Vikings wanted to settle the fertile lands of England, and unfortunately for the English who lived there, they were well equipped to take the land by force. In Valhalla, the new fighting system is one of the best parts of the game. You get to choose how you want to send your enemies to meet their gods. The two-handed axe for the purist, the axe-shield combo for the cautious Viking, and the coolest part, double-wielding any weapon or shield is an option for the Viking who just wants to get in there and chop off heads. The huge variety of weapons includes spears, swords, maces, and axes, which I may have mentioned. And each weapon changes your tactics for engaging your enemies, who are some of the most challenging in any Assassin's Creed game ever. For example, Slayers are these massive brutes with devastating attacks who had me standing back using a bow, but the dual-wielding psychos called Berserkers forced me to dodge until they tired themselves out. The skill tree adds further customization to your Viking style, allowing you to do things like throw your axes into your enemy's chest or bull rush him into a wall. The Vikings were legendary for their seamanship, and Eivor is no different, commanding your clan's forces as they raid fortresses and enemy positions along the water, singing and telling stories during the voyages, like early forms of radio and podcasts. As you assault the enemy's strongholds, crashing through fortifications with your clan's battering ram, you use everything around you to your advantage, firing arrows at the pots of oil meant to be poured on the backs of your men, or dropping cargo onto archers shooting into your ranks. In the heart of the fortress, a boss fight stands between you and claiming that fat loot, but don't expect an easy fight. Rued is a rogue Viking with a flaming sword who will make you question every Viking decision you've made up to fighting him. The storyline in Valhalla is heavily influenced by your choices, sweeping decisions like forging alliances or gathering allies for coming battles, to smaller ones like if you should hook up with one of your clansmen after a wedding. You should, by the way.
You want to lay with me, is that it?
Be careful though, because what may seem like a trivial decision at the time can lead to big consequences. Outside of the main storyline, the massive open world has tons of side quests, activities, and hidden places to explore. Hunting and fishing can pass the time, and throughout the world there are legendary animals to fight. I don't know what a black shuck is, but he bites really hard. As should be expected in any Viking game, there's all manner of drunken fun to be had.
Keep your eyes open long enough to witness this, you drunken lout.
The drinking contest is a rhythm game with the added element of keeping your drunken body from falling over. Drunk archery, drunk hookups, drunk storytelling, and helping your drunk friend find a place to sleep is all part of how Vikings get down.
Everything's spinny.
If that isn't enough Viking fun for you, play hide and seek with the local kids or get in a Viking rap battle called flighting.
Then you're speaking to fools and their knowledge is flawed.
You can solve ancient puzzles or create a little bit of history yourself and spend some time stacking stones for subsequent generations to wonder about. One of my favorite things about the game was that I could recruit a cat for my longship. His ferocious presence filled my crew with bloodlust. Valhalla's gritty Dark Age setting, immersive storyline, and huge open world will make fans out of any newcomers. And the new skills and updated combat system make the game a perfect evolution for lovers of the Assassin's Creed series. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be available on November 17th on Xbox One and current-gen consoles, but will also be coming to Xbox Series X and next-gen consoles. The game is optimized for Xbox Series X, but thanks to smart delivery, it will be available on both Xbox and Xbox Series X.